across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Sorry. Can it? Yeah. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Thursday, November the 27th. Here's what's coming up. So, migrants arrive here illegally. They try for asylum, and every now and again their applications to stay in Britain fail. Not often, obviously, but it does happen. Then we tell them they're going to be deported, and we release them on immigration bail, pending the day they are kicked out of the country. Do you see a problem here? What a surprise today to find out that 53,000 migrant rejects have gone missing, disappeared into thin air the moment they were told they're on their way back home. After an exasperated whistleblower revealed this fabulous feat of naive incompetence to MP Rupert Lowe, the Home Office is refusing to comment. Again. What a surprise. This pathetic story of born yesterday uselessness is a sad reminder of just how bad Britain's migrant crisis is and just how far this gormless government is from even starting to solve it. 0344 499 1000. Confirmed in Rachel Reeves's budget from hell yesterday when she warned us that Labour has plans to keep on paying the astronomical asylum seeker accommodation bill for at least 10 years to the eye-watering tune of £15 billion. Isn't that special? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, across the pond, the shooter who gunned down 2 National Guard soldiers yards from the White House in Washington yesterday turns out to be an Afghan migrant who arrived in America in 2021 under Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome scheme. Witnesses say he was shouting Allahu Akbar as he opened fire. As a result of this shocking incident, furious Donald Trump has vowed to take serious action and vet every single migrant from Afghanistan. On this side of the Atlantic, 35,700 Afghan nationals who claim to have helped British forces have been resettled in the UK, and a further 33,970 Afghanis are here awaiting their asylum decisions from a far-off fundamentalist Islamic country, 70,000 foreigners we know little or nothing about. Do you see a problem here? What do our political leaders think they have been playing at? 0344 499 1000. Plus, why did police handcuff the protesting farmers at the London tractor demo yesterday? Did the cops break the rules? Was this just theatre to relay the message, thou shalt not challenge our almighty government? 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, the BBC host tying himself in knots, apologising his head off after daring to suggest that maybe, just maybe, Some benefits claimers are scroungers. On Planet Beeb, of course, all people on welfare are 100% utterly above board. Yeah, right. And the moon's made of cheese. 03444991000. Also on tonight's action-packed show, the mystery of the Easter Island statues. What happened when the people on this tiny speck of impossibly remote land went from calm serenity to unravelling chaos in just 50 years? Why were the iconic 900-year-old statues known as Mao suddenly upended, damaged and left in a state of disarray? What were they for in the first place? How did they get there? One of the most intriguing stories on the planet. That later. And finally, the one and only Lady C with her unique take on Meghan, Harry and all things royal. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And right off the bat, let's go over to my very first guest. I always look forward to a Thursday because I am joined for the first 60 sizzling minutes of every Thursday night show by senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's just great to see you.
Always a pleasure, mate. Now, let's kick off with this extraordinary story that we learned today, thanks to a whistleblower, that there are at least 53,000 illegal migrants on the run here in Britain. And the story is ridiculous. So these are asylum seekers whose applications, this doesn't have much, as I said in my monologue, but these are asylum seekers whose applications failed. They are then told, right, you're going to be deported, so we're going to put you on immigration bail. So off you go, and in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever, we want you to come back here, and then we'll deport you. We'll send you back to your homeland, to your native country. I mean, as I said, do you see a problem here? You know, and guess what? At least 53,000 of them said, you know what, I think I won't go back. I think I'll just disappear. So that is what has been happening. Now, this was leaked by an exasperated whistleblower to the MP Rupert Lowe, former Reform guy, now independent member for Great Yarmouth. And he's calling this as a national emergency. Find all these people, can you? And go through with what we told them we were going to do, which was deport them. That's a long shot, obviously. And guess what? Guess who's not commenting? No comment, said the Home Office. This system is sort of naive to the point of absurd, isn't it? I mean, this is ridiculous. One more element of our ludicrous asylum system, the migrant crisis that makes no sense whatsoever in so many ways. You know, the whole thing of, oh, you just crossed the channel illegally, you just broke our laws. Here's a 4-star hotel. Would you like 50 quid a week? Here's a lawyer, here's a dentist, here's a doctor. You know, the whole system is crazy. Now, when we decide to deport them, we tell them, now, off you go, and you better come back here in a couple of weeks. We expect to see you here. This is ridiculous.
Well, I couldn't believe it when I read this. This is the most cavalier nature of how we keep the British people safe is just incredible. Just to let them go. I mean, Tony Smith, Kev, who was the former Director General of the Border Force, he said, oh, it's quite easy for them to disappear. It's quite easy for them to go walkabout, and we don't get them back. And if we do get them back, then they just put in another application. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. And, you're saying that it's a sort of cavalier way that we deal with these people. I just think it's, yes, there's a cavalier element to it, the Home Office firing on no cylinders yet again, but also I just think it's naive, absurd, born yesterday, never going to work, ludicrous.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, to say it's cavalier is a bit of an understatement. As I say, it's dangerous, and we're in this situation where we have all of these people. We let them loose, and of course they go away. So we need to change the system. We can do a couple of things. Actually, we should put them in camps, which are similar to prisoner of war camps, and keep an eye on them. I mean, properly keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
You know, that's one way. First, Kev, that's one way of dealing with it. But of course, the real way of dealing with it is not to allow them to come over in the first place. Now, I just made a speech the other night in Westminster about this, and so the stats are very fresh in my mind. In 2018, under 300 people came over in small boats. Okay, in 2018, under 300 migrants came over in small boats.
Those were the days.
Yeah, cut to 2022, 45,000 came over, right? In 1 year, 45,000 came over. So not only is it out of control there, once we get them in here, we literally put women and children at risk. We put everybody at risk, because what are they going to do? They're going to break the law, aren't they, to survive? They're on the run. They're on the lam, you know. So all of this stuff, again, Rupert said this was a national emergency. He's absolutely right. We've said, the both of us have said this on this show several times before. There's nothing new there. We've said this about similar kinds of things because we talked about this an awful lot. This is a national emergency, but of course they will do nothing about it, and it will just get worse. Meanwhile, we see story after story, week after week, day after day of another child's been raped. You know, another woman's been assaulted. There's been another murder. You know, there's mayhem on our streets. There's mayhem in our cities, and they will do nothing about it. So, you know, again, as I say, we've said it before. This is very definitely a national emergency.
It certainly is. We're going to talk later on. I don't want to dwell on it now because I've got it slotted for us to discuss towards the end of the hour. But did you notice that in Rachel Reeves' Budget from Hell speech yesterday, she slipped in, apparently 23-24 that year, we spent £4.5 billion accommodating asylum seekers, illegal migrants who come across the channel unlawfully. This is projected to rise to, over the next 10 years, apparently, £15 billion. So what I think, you know, apart from the fact that's a jaw-dropping amount of money, the headline on it is, so you don't have any expectation or plans to solve this migrant crisis anytime soon. You're budgeting for £15 billion to accommodate all these people who keep breaking into our country. That's Labour's plans. You know, interesting little element of her horrible speech yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you just see you see where we're going. It's a roadmap, isn't it, of what our society is going to be like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time. And I tweeted today that any sense of governance has just gone out of the window, and any sense,
isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but they're not even pretending now to be honest or to try and present some kind of narrative or story. We'll probably talk about that later. But they're not even pretending to cover up that kind of thing. You know, the kind of thing, the one thing that the British people desperately do not want. We do not want more illegal immigrants, but they are budgeting now, massively budgeting now, for massive scaling, and that is just so worrying.
It really is, and these people, you're right. I mean, they apply for asylum, they get refused. There's no limit on how often they can appeal, which in itself is ridiculous. But a lot of them, as we're finding out today, they just say, well, sod this, and they just disappear. And that adds grist to the mill of the belief on some people's part that we have millions of people in this country that we don't know about. Millions. Now, one of the untold stories of the migrant crisis is when they come across the channel. You know, so first of all, we never talk about the people. We assume they all get caught. You know, but they get caught in the middle of the channel and then ferried in on the Border Force taxi service and all that. But what about those who actually make it? not so long ago, a boat was actually caught on the beach at Folkestone. It did actually make it. What about those who make it? Also, there's this idea that every single migrant that arrives, when they put into the hotel, they're in the system. Well, apparently quite a few of them, they take the opportunity to spend a night in a nice 4-star hotel, wash and brush up, have a breakfast, and then disappear. Yeah. This system is leakier than a sieve. It requires, or it needs, the cooperation of these people who came here illegally. You know, can you do this? Could you, right, you're on immigration bail now, don't you dare disappear, don't you dare go missing. Oh, they've gone missing when we told them not to. It is naive, isn't it?
Well, it's like giving prisoners a key to the front door and saying,
Yeah.
"No,
don't you dare go out."
It's just there in case there's an emergency, but you must not use that. You know what I mean? It's naive beyond belief. But I mean, there are a couple of things here. Increasingly, we've got no idea how many people are in this country, right? We've got absolutely
As
no
I
idea.
was just saying, yeah.
Well, and we've got no idea of the makeup of this country either. And so you've got all of these people. They are, you know, so dangerous because they're from a culture that is, one, not only incompatible with ours, but two, a culture that is absolutely broken by strife, war, civil war, and God knows what. So they are bringing all of this psychosis into this country. And it just feels as though, you know, once they're here and they're on the run, of course they've got mobile phones, of course they could communicate with people at home, and they will be telling them, look, it's great, you can do what you want, there are no laws, it's an absolute free-for-all, come on over. So it feeds upon itself. This is why, you know, we started in 2018 with a few hundred people. By 2022, which was the high point, we had 45,000, and they will keep coming. If there is you know, if there are opportunities here, and by opportunities we mean criminal opportunities, okay, then they will come in their droves, and we are doing nothing about it. They are, again, as I said last week, Kev, they are laughing at us, and rightly so, because we are a joke of a country.
Yeah, we are. And the last element of this, you mentioned about the analogy of it's like giving prisoners the key and saying, don't you dare unlock that door. Well, a lot of these 53,000 are actually, some of them, when they get the verdict, right, you're being deported, we do actually put them into allegedly proper detention centres. They're often by airports. I think there's one at Gatwick and so on and so forth. And a lot of them are absconding from these places. So it seems to me there's probably a security issue at these detention centres. These are the detention centres, by the way. People who are about to be deported, they give things like free art classes and gym sessions and so on and so forth. And which sort of indicates that maybe we're not talking Parkhurst or San Quentin here. It's not Alcatraz. So some of them are getting out from there. Others are ludicrously told that you're going to be deported, but we're letting you out onto the streets, and you better come back here. You know, and they didn't come back. What a shock. 53,000, I bet it's more than that.
Well, the problem we've got is the people who are in charge of all of this kind of stuff, the people who naturally gravitate to dealing with migrants and refugees are precisely the kinds of people, you know, the lefty, blue-haired, identitarian, Britain-hating, you know, people. They should be nowhere near this industry. They should be a million miles away from it. I think there should be a rule, Kev, where if you only reform voters can deal with.
How about this one? No blue-haired judges, immigration tribunal judges. They mustn't have blue hair because most of them might as well have blue hair. They might as well go in there reading their copy of The Guardian before they make some ludicrously liberal decision about allowing a paedophile to stay in the country, because if he goes back to his own country, he will be persecuted, or he's got a right to a family life. All that nonsense. This story just is another reminder what an utter omnishambles our migrant crisis is, and no signs of it being solved, because Rachel Reeves let us know yesterday that the Labour government at least expect it to go on 10 years and more. Thanks very much. Well, we're going to talk about a similar story when we come back, and it alludes to what happened in Washington last night, that shooter, the guy who gunned down two poor National Guard soldiers on the streets of Washington, just yards from the White House, turns out to be an Afghani migrant. We'll talk about that next.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Philip Kisley, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Philip, yesterday it was breaking as we were on air last night. So in the middle of the day in Washington, D.C., a shooter gunned down two National Guard soldiers in Washington. They're both in critical condition. The shooter, too, was hurt. We understand he is in hospital. We saw footage of him being put into an ambulance. He didn't seem too badly injured to me. And bizarrely, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, but this is another issue. He didn't have any clothes on.
Yeah.
I couldn't work that out. Was it? Maybe, yeah, maybe anybody's got some ideas about this. We'll try and find out. Was it that they stripped him in case he had any other weapons or anything like that? Anyway, he didn't look like he was wasting away either. I think he spent his time in America since 2021 eating pies. But anyway, he was getting loaded into an ambulance with nothing on. The other two guards, the poor National Guards, are fighting for their lives. Now, as this story broke, we didn't know who it was, but it turned out to be a 29-year-old Afghani migrant called Rahman Lakhanwal. Now, Rahman Lakhanwal arrived in America in September 2021 after the disastrous US withdrawal from Afghanistan. And he came to America under Joe Biden's, and this is what it's called, Operation Allies Welcome Scheme. And we have a similar scheme here, by the way, and we'll get to that in a second, which was a way for people, Afghanis who'd helped the US forces and the British forces, collaborated, if you like, to be given, you know, their reward by being allowed to come to America or Britain, because Afghanistan, Taliban would be very unsafe for them. So that's why he was there. There were reports that as he opened fire on these two poor guys just in the street, just yards from the White House, he was shouting Allah Akbar. We'll await the results of the legal process over there, but President Trump not unexpectedly saying they're really going to throw the book at him. Now, he had worked alongside the CIA and the US Special Forces in his own country, apparently. Donald Trump's furious with Joe Biden for allowing all these people in, and he's now calling for a review of all Afghani migrants residing in America, and is absolutely seething about Biden's migrant-friendly policies. Before we go on about this, and before we translate this situation to Britain, here's Donald Trump talking about this shocking incident.
If they can't love our country, we don't want them. Earlier today, on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, 2 members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. I can report tonight that, based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021 on those infamous flights that everybody was talking about. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world. No country can tolerate such a risk to our very survival. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that.
Yeah, he was hit because obviously the National Guards returned fire, but he didn't look too bad to me, but let's see. But the other, the poor National Guard guys are fighting for their life. Now, the point is, Philip, you heard what the president said there. Now, we had a similar scheme here. Called the Afghan Resettlement Program. You remember that we found out that the government kept this a secret from us, actually took out a super injunction to make sure the people didn't know that they were flying thousands of Afghani nationals into Britain who said they'd been helping the British during the long war there. So the situation we have now is we've had 35,000 under this scheme since 2021. 35,700 Afghan nationals have been resettled to Britain under this scheme, the Afghan resettlement programme, and an additional 33,970 have applied for asylum since October 2021. So altogether, that means we have around 70,000 Afghan refugees and asylum seekers in the UK. My phrase of today is, do you see a potential problem here? Now, we are not famous for how closely we vet these foreign nationals that we allow to come and live here. So we've got 70,000 Afghan nationals, most of whom we won't know the first thing about living in this country. Now, think about what happened in Washington. Think about what the president said. If we had anything like a proper government, they'd be saying the same thing, wouldn't they? We need to vet every single one of these Afghani nationals. They won't do that, but this is worrying, isn't it?
It's incredibly worrying, and it just everything I said before about the kind of society they're coming from stands, doesn't it? It was just really interesting to see President Trump talking then, because he looked genuinely angry. He really did look angry, and he said one thing that was really important: if they do not add benefit. That's further than if they're, you know, it's not just that they're not a danger. It's if they do not add benefit, then they should not be here. And I think that's incredibly important, because that's the opposite of the other mindset, which is, oh, they helped us in Afghanistan, so therefore they have a God-given right to come into our country. You know, we work together. We work together every week. That doesn't mean to say that I can just go and live in your house, does it? Do you know what I mean?
It's not big enough. No, but I take your point. Yeah, of course.
But it's exactly that kind of thing. Now, 70,000. I was just thinking about that, right? Where I come from, Bury, that only has, that's a town, that's a northern town. It's a fairly substantial northern town. It only has 81,000 people in it. There are 81,000 inhabitants of Bury. So this is nearly the size of a standard northern town that we're talking about, this population of people. That is enormous. That has a huge impact on our society. The ripple effect there is massive. When we talk about immigration and we talk about mass immigration, and people say, oh, well, we've always been an immigrant culture, and remember the Huguenots, and this is as many as, you know, as the Huguenots came, the whole thing. So it's absolutely extraordinary, and we're only talking about one small, you know, element of demographic of people, with the rest of the people coming in as well. So it is absolutely, it has a huge impact on us, and it's really, really frightening. I think, what do we get from this kind of stuff? Well, we get, you know, I'm not just talking about Afghanis here. I'm talking about mass immigration generally. We get Turkish barbers, don't we? We get kebab shops, and we get
nail bars.
Yeah, nail bars. But we get child rape. So, you know, essentially, is it worth it? Is it worth, for, you know, the kebab shops and the Turkish barbers, the nail bars? This is what we get. We need benefit from these people, or else they should go.
You see, you're right. You see, so Donald Trump is saying, well, you know, we need to know. America wants to ask all these Afghanis, and indeed all migrants, what benefit will you bring to our country? What benefit will you bring to America? What we say to our migrants is, what benefits can we give you? What benefits can we pay you? A lot of these Afghani migrants who came on this resettlement scheme, they've been put straight to the front of the queue for housing, for social housing, and also they've got deals where they've got benefits for life. They've been told, you don't really have to work, we'll pay you benefits for the rest of your lives. But I think the thing that we have to worry about seriously, when you think of what happened in Washington, you know, everything else about this resettlement scheme is annoying, particularly the fact that this government tried to keep this a secret using the legal system. Do you remember that? A judge, finally, after the government, the Tories it was, kept going back to the High Court to say, can we renew this? And in the end, I think by the time Labour were in, one High Court judge said, no, this is, you should not be doing this. You are the government of this country. You are democratically elected. It is not for you to use the British legal system to keep the people, the electorate, in the dark. He lost his temper and said, no, we're not doing this anymore. So the people got to know. So everything about this is annoying. But when you think of what happened in Washington, there's another element to this that we should probably be more worried about. Who are these people? 70,000 of them. What are their real attitudes to us? This is the problem. This is the problem, and 70,000 of them. So look, folks, you let me know what you think about this, but I think this is a source of grave concern, and as I said in my monologue, to the political class who let this happen, who continue to let this happen, what on earth do you think you're playing at? Seriously. 03444991000. When we'll come back, Philip, we'll talk a little bit about the budget, and we'll go through Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer's rather uncomfortable day today. That next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, yesterday it was the budget from hell. 43 brand new taxes that are going to make all of our lives hell. Almost as many promises broken, lies. Unbelievable. So a really uncomfortable day for both the Chancellor, Rachel from Accounts, Rachel Reeves, and of course the Prime Minister. Well, it started off badly for Rach when she appeared on Good Morning Britain on ITV, the breakfast show there, and Susanna Reid wasn't letting her off the hook in any way whatsoever. Check this out.
In your manifesto, you said Labour will not increase its taxes on working people. Then, last year in your budget, you acknowledged that extending the freeze on thresholds on tax would hurt working people, which is why you said last year you would not do it. How can anyone believe anything you say?
I'm Chancellor in the world as it is, not in the world that I might like it to be. And I do have to respond to new forecasts and events unfolding around the world. So from 2028, I have made that decision to freeze those thresholds.
Yeah, she keeps making this point about, oh, yeah, but we said rates, you see. You didn't really listen properly to what our promises was. No, rubbish. I'm not saying she's a liar, but she's broken all of her promises. But let's go on to a man that we well know lies all the time. That's the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Here he is getting skewered by usually a rather friendly interviewer, Beth Wrigley from Sky News. But Beth was on rather fiery form here. Check this out.
You said during the election that you wouldn't be able to pay for a lift in the child benefit cap. You said it's a difficult thing. I want to put it in my manifesto. We can't. I'm being honest with the public. We can't afford it because I don't want to put people's taxes up. You've done exactly the opposite. You've lost the confidence of this.
Let me answer that, Beth. I absolutely do believe that we've got to lift children out of poverty. We've had a two-child cap in place for the best part of 10 years. The net result of that is hundreds of thousands of children have been living in poverty. That has a massive impact on their health. Go to any hospital, ask them what is the link between poverty and health. It's a direct link, and those children will not have the opportunity to go as far as their talents will. I'm not going to apologise for lifting 500,000 children out of poverty. I'm proud that this Labour government has done more on child poverty than any government has ever done.
Prime Minister, final question. You said you would do politics differently. You would put country before party. Instead, you have done today something your party wanted to save your own skin. You are not a government of service. You're a government of self-preservation.
I don't know how many interviews we've done.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he's broken the manifesto. And did you hear, Philip, when he said, let me answer this question, and then didn't answer it? I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. You know, this was a guy who came in, I'm the moderate Labourer, I'm centrist, and we're going to be sensible. And I have to tell you, you know, the two-child benefit cap is the only thing we can do sensibly economically. We can't afford anything more. And now, because of his backbenchers, him and Rachel Reeves are just puppets on the backbench strings. So they're doing exactly what they're told. And Labour backbenchers are these left-wing backbenchers. They're obsessed with child poverty, lifting children out of child poverty. I'm not sure, for them it's just a sort of concept that they revolve around. I'm not sure they know even what they're talking about. They go, got to stop child poverty. People in poverty, got to put them out of poverty. So, you know, the two-child cap gets lifted. Now you can have 100 kids if you like, and the government will pay for every single one. We're going to go back to the dark days of when some parents did this for an industry. It was their job. They churn out 9, 10, 12 kids and get £100,000 a year. And we can't afford it. This is going to cost us £3.5 billion over the next year. We can't afford this. They've been bullied into this, Rachel and Keir Starmer, but it's the lying. It's the manifesto promise breaks. You know, they've broken every promise in the book. They lie. They're out of rope, aren't they? They are out of rope.
Well, it's just the brazenness about it, isn't it? You know, well, I made that promise. Well, that was last year. Of course I've changed. Of course I'm going to break it now. This is this year. Things have changed, you know. Yeah. What's the point in having a manifesto? I mean, there's just something about this. He's saying that, you know, we're lifting children out of poverty. You know, lifting that cap is doing precisely the opposite. It's condemning children to be born into a benefits culture. And I was just looking at some of the figures, and they're just absolutely eye-watering, Kev. So there are 25, what's going to happen over the next few years, 25,000 big families will claim benefits of £300 million a year, you know. That's 333 billion for welfare in 25-26. Now, he said that he's asked everyone to make a contribution. He's not asking everyone to make a contribution. He's just asking working people to prop up the benefits vote that he wants, the benefit vote that will keep his backbenchers quiet, and also it has to be said as well, it's the Muslim bloc vote, isn't it? So this is just the most unethical. This is the most unethical prime minister. This is the worst liar. This is the worst government. I've said it before, it's almost like a government of occupation. They are working against us. Meanwhile, anybody who can get out of the country, anybody who's got a little bit of money is going to go. People are fleeing. Young people are going. People who earn any kind of money are going. This country is just going into catastrophe. The plane has hit the mountain. It is just appalling. It is so terrifying. And there he is, and there she is. You know, they're both saying the same thing. They're both talking exactly the same way.
They're being ordered around by these backbenchers. That's what this budget yesterday was not for the country. You remember they said service the country first. This wasn't for the country. This was for the left-wingers in the party. This was a survival technique, by a desperate survival bid by Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer to appease their left-wing backbenchers so that they stay in their job. They may well hang on to their job for 6 months, 7 months, but they're going to go anyway. But that's what this is about, and because of this budget, it is now firmly predicted that by 2030, our current welfare bill is an obscene, grotesque £320 billion a year, some say slightly more. But by 2030, it is now predicted that this country's welfare bill will be nudging £430 billion a year. So what happened yesterday? It was a landmark budget. It was the moment that this country went from being a country that ostensibly at least encouraged entrepreneurialism, encouraged individual dynamism, work hard, gain from it. It went from that kind of country to a country where those that work, those who run businesses, will now be required to feed the giant beast of our welfare system. We are working to maintain our welfare system. We are now a country we are a welfare system with a country attached.
Yeah, I think we are paying taxes, I think, for three main things. Okay, welfare, the NHS.
NHS, of course.
And migrants. Yep. That is what we're working for. Now, we are the people in this country who are entrepreneurs, who run businesses, who pay taxes. They are second-class citizens, okay? Especially if you're white, if you're male, if you're middle-aged. You know, I'm speaking from experience here.
Talking for a friend, yeah.
Yeah, we are paying for those things, and we are getting absolutely nothing in return. We're not even getting law and order. We're not even getting safe streets. It is just the most appalling thing, and the country is grinding to a halt. This is the stuff. You know, Professor David Betts has said this, and I'm only repeating it. But these are the conditions in which we tip over into Banana Republic style stuff. These are the conditions that we tip over into civil war type territory. That's how bad it is.
It is that bad. By the way, the government has done a dramatic U-turn in the last couple of hours. I rather like this one actually, but it's still a lie. In their manifesto, this government pledged, ludicrously in my view, to offer all workers the right to claim unfair dismissal from the very first day of their job. So you could walk in, could be given a job, somehow the bosses didn't like you or something after 2 hours, I don't know, maybe you're 3 hours late or something, they throw you out. You could claim for unfair dismissal from the first day of the job. They've changed that now to you won't have the right to claim for unfair dismissal for 6 months. Makes a lot more sense to me, but it's another blatant manifesto pledge just shamelessly broken.
I'm quite surprised they've done that, actually, because,
It's pressure from businesses, even Labour. The businesses were just saying, come on, you cannot do this. Even Labour had to accept one-day unfair dismissal claims. I mean, that's just comedy stuff, ridiculous. So that's why they've done it. But it still amounts to a manifesto promise that they've broken.
But it's almost like they're governing by the hour, Kev. They're trying to appease, this lobby of people. They're trying to appease that lobby of people. They're trying to, they're trying to appease their backbenchers. And who can they really punish and allow themselves to do this? It's the taxpayer. It's the people. It's the backbone of this country. This country used to be it used to be a nation of shopkeepers, didn't it? It used to be, that's the quintessential British entrepreneurs, small businesses, people who work for themselves, people who make things happen. Now it's a country of benefits, with this government flailing around its weakness, and people smell weakness, and so from that you get the economy crashing because there's no confidence.
Exactly right. It's as Kemi Badenoch, who was very good yesterday, by the way.
She was brilliant.
She was brilliant, but she called it. I mean, I think it was her opening line, quite rightly. This is the benefits street budget, and that's what it is. We are now purely a benefits and welfare country. Those that work are required to feed our gigantic welfare system. That is not healthy. That is economic death. It really is. Let's go to break, and we'll go back to asylum seekers hotels. New statistics on how many people we're putting up in hotels. That next. Stay tuned.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just a few minutes till we'll get to the 8 o'clock news. Philip, I'm still with Philip Kisley from the New Culture Forum. New statistics reveal that the number of asylum seekers in taxpayer-funded hotels has soared to 36,273, the highest level for 2 years. And the total number of asylum seekers has risen to 111,651. That's an increase of 5,600 in 3 months. That's why Rachel put in her speech yesterday, as we discussed earlier, that the cost of accommodating asylum seekers is set to set us back £15.3 billion over the next decade. In fairness, the 11,651 figure is not the highest. It's below the peak of just under 124,000 in September 2023, Philip, but it is still rising fast. This from a government that was going to tell us, or is determined to tell us, that it will be reducing the use of asylum seeker hotels. The use of asylum seeker hotels is rocketing.
Yeah. Well, as we've established tonight, and we've established many, many times before, they will tell us absolutely anything. But as you said, I think the really important thing that you've taken from this, Kev, is that they are planning for this in the future. But they are governing against us primarily. That is what's happening. Polls out today showed that Reform are on 31%, and the Labour Party are back down to 15% as a response to Rachel Reeves and everything that's happened over the last couple of days. They're below the Tories, who are doing a bit better, and they're below the Green Party. So they are in a terrible mess, but they are dragging us down with them. I'm frightened where this is going to go.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, the Home Office of saying that a record 110,051 people claimed asylum in the UK for the year ending to September. That's up 13% on the previous year and 7% more than the previous peak of 103,000 in 2002. So everything is rocketing. This government is nowhere near, not even starting to solve this crisis. It is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. This is frightening, Philip. It really is. Everything is a shambles, an ominous shambles. On that rather depressing note, I've got to say farewell. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Philip. Excellent stuff. Philip Kisley, their senior fellow of the New Culture Forum. When we come back, I'm going to ask the question, why those protesting farmers yesterday, when they were arrested, the tractor demo in London, why were they handcuffed? Looks like that is against police rules. Why did the police put those farmers' hands in cuffs? We'll talk about that after the break. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is hour 2 of tonight's Political Asylum, and got lots lined up for you in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to play you some hilarious tape of the Radio 4 host, Amol Rajan. He actually dared to call some benefit claimers scroungers, and then tied himself in knots. Apologized. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have said that to you. Well, look, Amol, don't worry about it. Yeah, everybody knows that some benefit claimers are scroungers. Some people on welfare are scroungers. We're not saying all of them, but, you know, as I say, on BBC, Planet BBC, absolutely every person on welfare, 100% above board, no doubt about it, rubbish. We'll play you some of that and ask why the BBC is so scared of even remotely suggesting that even one benefit claimer might be a scrounger. It's pathetic, isn't it? We'll talk about the Easter Island statues at 8:30, the mystery. There's been a breakthrough as to how they may have been made, but mystery still surrounds their entire incredible story. They were built or created about 900 years ago. And then in the 18th century, in the 1700s, suddenly the civilization on that island unravelled into chaos. All the statues were damaged, toppled over in the space of 50 years. No one quite knows what happened, so we'll try and delve into that mystery. Very intriguing story a little later, and then take some of your calls. So that's what's coming up for the next 60 excellent minutes. So before we get to any of that, though, let's first of all talk about yesterday's tractor demonstration, the protest by farmers who descended on London on Budget Day to make their point. They're still seethingly angry, distraught, in fact, about the 20% inheritance tax, so that all farms, obviously farmers' families like to pass the farm on from generation to generation. And that's always been done very smoothly. You know, one farmer moves on, their son takes over, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Labour government brought in this system where if your farm's worth more than £1 million, they're going to take 20% of the value in tax as you pass it on, which is ruining farming dynasties. It's ruining farmers all over the country because they say, the Labour government say, well, these are very, very big, valuable farms. Nearly every farm is worth more than £1 million. It affects very small farmers as well as big farmers. So that was the protest. Don't do this to us. Anyway, the point is, they were told at the last minute that they weren't allowed to do this, that it was unlawful because the government didn't want to be embarrassed on Budget Day. But to their credit, in my view, they got a right to protest and they claimed it. They turned up anyway. And the atmosphere was slightly febrile and the police started arresting them. Now, also, in full view, very theatrical, as these farmers were arrested, they were handcuffed. Now, it looks as if, you look into the police rules, I think they were breaking police rules there. They're not supposed to, handcuffing members of the public is only supposed to be done, the police recognise it as a use of force, and police are only allowed to use force if they feel that there's a threat to the public, threat to public safety, if the suspects could be dangerous, or if they're liable to escape. And it is felt that none of these criteria were met, that these farmers were just handcuffed for the cameras. It was theatrical to show, thou shalt not disobey this government. Let's talk to former Scotland Yard detective Mike Neville. Hello, Mike.
Good evening, Kevin.
Well, you saw that. We're going to play some of the footage as we speak, but you saw what was going on. Yes, it's very blatant. You know, every farmer that got arrested seemed to be rather theatrically, filmically put into handcuffs. Now, as I understand it, it looks to me as if that was against police rules, because the police accept that the use of handcuffs is a use of force, and the police are only allowed to use force if they suspect there's a threat to public danger, if they suspect the suspect is violent, is being violent or could be violent, or is liable to escape. These farmers were none of those things. So why were they being handcuffed, do you think?
Well, I think it's come to the point where the procedure is the punishment, in a sense. And I was always proud to be a, British Bobby, a Scotland Yard detective, because we're different from the American police, aren't we, who handcuff everybody who are armed. The British police were seen as a model for the world, that we were just and fair. And the rules are quite clear. You handcuff somebody if they're likely to be violent or hide evidence or hurt somebody or whatever else. And none of these criteria seem to have been met. And it just gives an awful view to the public. And what it shows people is there's two-tier policing. I think Jacob Rees-Mogg was saying what they should have said, it was tractors for Palestine, because if it was tractors for Palestine, then they wouldn't have been handcuffed, would they? But we see how football fans are treated against Black Lives Matter, and the farmers are seen as easy game, because they're part of what Tony Blair described as, I suppose, of the forces of conservatism, and so they need to be dealt with. But it just sends the wrong message. British policing should be better than this, and it's gone down the pan, and it's really awful to see. I feel ashamed, really. It should be so much better.
So if you were a serving copper yesterday, in your mind, as an experienced police officer, there is no way that those farmers should have been handcuffed.
No way. No, they should never. I made my career really on getting information out of people. I got information out of people because I was reasonable. I was nice with people. Even the most wicked criminals I'd be nice with, because I give them the opportunity to tell me information so I could catch some more wicked criminals. And you do this by being reasonable. Some people I would fight. I played for the Met Police Rugby League team, so I was prepared to fight with anybody if need be. But you don't need to do that on most occasions. You need to be reasonable with people. The farmers were there with a legitimate protest. Yes, they've breached some rule or other, but British policing is better than this. We're not the Spanish or the German police who wade in there, or we didn't used to be, wade in there with batons. There's no excuse for this whatsoever. It's a breach of policy, and the officers who did that and the supervisors who authorised it should be held to account.
And in effect, it seems to me, cynics might say that the police there, because the government sought to ban this protest, they didn't like the look of that. They didn't want tractors going round Parliament Square on budget day. So the farmers were officially banned, but they ignored that ban. So the police, in effect, look like agents of the government here. They're doing the government's work. That's not what coppers are supposed to do, is it?
No, they're supposed to be independent of politics. But we saw all those people, whether we agree or disagree with the Palestine Action thing, the government decide that they're going to be they're sorted out, so they're quickly shifted along. And arrested. But we saw all the time, we see two-tier policing. We see how Extinction Rebellion are dealt with, how Black Lives Matter are dealt with, and then we see how the farmers are dealt with and how football fans are dealt with. Or if you're a supporter of the Unite the Country or the Tommy Robinson March or whatever. And the police should be above this. They're not agents of the state. They're independent, and they should enforce the law fairly and impartially. And too often, I think the public are just shocked by how the police have been politicised in the last 20 years, particularly since Blair, that they become, we had the Ian Blair, the Commissioner of Police, with a Labour supporting car. It's just not the way it should be.
I assume these arrests, we're going to listen to one of the farmers who did get their collar felt yesterday in just a second, but I assume that the reason for these arrests was, while in effect the protest itself was not banned, what the Met Police did was ban agricultural vehicles, aka tractors, but the farmers ignored that. So I'm assuming that the sort of febrile atmosphere was because the farmers brought their tractors in anyway, and the cops are going, well, you're breaching the tractor ban. I assume that's what it's all about. Let's have a quick listen to a farmer who was arrested in Trafalgar Square yesterday.
For Section 14, we see farmers being arrested just by Trafalgar Square. It's absolutely outrageous. This is the place of the public and farmers being arrested on a Section 14 dispersal because the police the day before decide to say that they're not going to be allowed to protest.
I've asked you several times to follow the conditions.
Get up to my tractor to get the key out of it.
We want you to protest safely, but you're not following the instructions.
I was getting the key out of my tractor. I was getting the key out of my
tractor. Why is he being arrested?
Tractor to move it as you asked.
Okay? Because you're obstructing the highway.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to be able to move the tractors then, are you?
Yeah, don't worry. Stop your ass, don't worry, we'll sort that out.
It's not a competition, don't need to be angry. God, he's got such attitude.
Farmers being arrested on the roundabout, Trafalgar Square, place of the public. That is a superior officer on the phone.
This is another police officer saying this as well. She's asking to speak to him. She's on the phone asking to speak to him.
Well, unsurprisingly, that clip, that was the voice of Alan Miller there, by the way, from the Together organisation, Freedom Campaigners. He's narrating it, but you saw the copper saying, or rather the farmer, he's just trying to get the key out of his tractor. And as I said, the bone of contention, Mike, seems to be, oh, you shouldn't have brought your tractors here, so that's why we're arresting you. Well, that footage has had more than 1 million views. I think people didn't like what they saw there. I mean, that guy getting handcuffed there, that looked to me as if that was a little bit of theatre, didn't it, you?
They look like scruffy bullies to me. That's what they look like. And it's just a bad image. And as I say, British policing was the envy of the world. Smart officers, decent, fair, and now we see, you know, this sort of nonsense going on. You know, the man could just move, he could have just got him to move his tractor, move along, and all would have been sorted out. But no, you're right, it's a bit of theatre, do what the politicians say. It's just, I don't know, it's just shameful to see that people have a legitimate right to protest. We've earned that right through wars and death and blood of this country, and now we see if the protest doesn't fit the agenda of the progressive left, then the people must be dealt with and arrested and have their hands put up their back. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever.
Exactly right. I'm just looking at more pictures. So it just seems to me that these farmers, they should be shown more respect by the public, by the government, by the police. I mean, they've got a fair point. You might think it's fantastic to tax these poor people to the hilt as they try and pass their farms on from generation to generation. But whether or not you agree with that, I think they've got a perfectly fair reason to protest. And this looked to me like the police joining forces with the government to put their dirty great cop boots on the right to protest. That's not right.
And most of those farmers as well, this will be the first protest they've ever been on. My experience has been a young police officer in London. It was always like save the whale, ban the bomb, stop the war, and it was the same characters in socks and sandals with ponytails every week, drifting along, doing the same old protest. It was a day out for these people, and they were treated nicely and with respect. These farmers are hard-working men and women who just want to make their point. They don't cause much trouble. Most of their time is spent working hard, 12, 13, 14 hours on a farm every day. They come to London to protest and they're treated in this brutal and unnecessary manner. It is just not good enough.
And we're also hearing stories that those that did get arrested, we're not sure of the numbers yet, but were basically taken to the cop shop, but nothing happened to them. You know, they took the handcuffs off. They weren't charged or anything, and then they left. So once again, that proves, I'm sure they were put on some kind of warning, probably, you are now being investigated for this. But in essence, nothing happened to them. So once again, it proves that what we're looking at here is deliberate theatre. Show everybody that if they break these rules, we'll handcuff them, we'll strong-arm them in the street. That's what this is about, I would suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said at the start, the process is the punishment. These farmers will probably never end up at court. You know, they'll never be charged. They won't end up at court and being fined. But the punishment is having your arms put up your back, dragged away. How are you going to get your tractor back? That tractor is used on the farm, you know, needed there. So that'll be impounded and they'll have to pay to get it back. And then they'll be put on bail possibly and have to be, you know, come back to London whenever the police dictate, when they should be on the farm, and that'll cost them money as well. So they will be punished by the process rather than the courts.
Mike, very good to talk to you. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Mike Neville there, ex-Scotland Yard detective. What do you think about that? I mean, seriously. You know, these are decent people. These are really, you know, you talk about hard-working people. These are people who work harder than anyone around. They get up at 4 in the morning, work all the way through every day to feed the country. They've got a beef. They've got a, that's a good talking about farmers, but they've got a beef. And I think it's a legitimate beef, and that's the way they get treated, like common criminals. Here, give it handcuffs. Not right, is it? 03444991000. When we come back, we'll talk about the BBC. One presenter there yesterday dared to say scroungers to describe benefits claimers. Now, of course, most of them aren't scroungers, but some of them are, aren't they? Not in the BBC, they're not. It's very funny, this. Have a look at it. We'll do that after the break. Stay where you are.
To look at.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
In terms of your question around taxes, there are no additional tax rises needed beyond the ones that I've set out. Don't need to increase taxes. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes. I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax. We don't need to come back for more. We've done that now. We've wiped the slate clean. The economic circumstances have declined, deteriorated since a year ago. We are
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to leave planet Earth now, and we're going to touch down on planet BBC, where this morning on their flagship Radio 4 news programme, the host Amol Rajan was interviewing Lord David Blunkett about yesterday's budget. He's talking about benefits. He's talking about particularly the two-child cap on benefits. And this is what he said. Well, we'll play this in a minute. He basically said he was making the point about child poverty, and he's saying there are over 4 million kids in this country, and more than 70% of those kids are actually in families where people work. So he wanted to say, so not everybody who claims child benefit is a scrounger. Oh my God, that set alarm bells ringing. Let's listen to Amol in action this morning.
11 minutes 9. Just want to clarify something. A few moments ago in my interview with Lord Blunkett, I used the word scroungers. To be clear, I absolutely wasn't describing people on welfare as scroungers myself. I was making the point that in families where kids are in poverty, you can't really characterise such families as scroungers, were people to do so, because, as I was saying, over 70% of the children in poverty are in families where people do work. Sorry if that was unclear. I'd certainly never myself describe people who take social security or benefits or welfare, whatever you want to call it, as scroungers. That's not the kind of language I would use.
All right, Anna, all right, hand-wringing. Oh, dear, we broke the BBC rules there. Of course some welfare claimers are scroungers. Of course benefit claimers are scroungers. Not all of them, obviously. Everybody knows some of them. But in the BBC, as far as Amol and his gang are concerned, every single benefit claimer, every single welfare claimer is 100% above board. That's why the BBC no longer is capable of covering news properly. Let's talk to Steve N. Allen, writer and comedian, and we need a comedian because that's pretty funny, isn't it, Steve? Ridiculous.
It's classic BBC as well. So effectively, he said you can't call these people scroungers, and then came back to apologising for calling these people scroungers. He's apologising for doing the thing he said that you can't do, which is ridiculous in itself. But this is the BBC. They love twisting themselves into a Mobius strip formation of contortion to try and make sure they apologise to absolutely everyone. The best thing is his apology makes it worse. Because he's saying,
doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm not saying they're scroungers. 70% of them aren't. Well, what are you implying about the 30%, which is a number higher than most people would call scroungers? And even in the comments then online, people were saying, what are you saying about the 30%? I'm amazed they didn't get him back on to apologise for his apology.
Apologise for the apology, yeah. Well, this is his offending statement, so we just heard him apologising. This is what he said to Lord Blunkett. According to the Child Poverty Action Group, there are over 4 million kids in this country in poverty. More than 70% of those are actually in families where people work. It's not a question of scroungers on welfare, it's actually working families. As you say, he's making a point of saying they're not scroungers, but actually the problem here is what he said, I would never use the word scroungers to describe anyone on benefits. Well, I bloody well would. You would. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, the majority of people who get welfare deserve it. The majority of people who get benefits deserve it. That's what we do in a civilised democracy. We look after the poor and the underprivileged. But everybody knows there's a fair few welfare claimers out there and a fair few benefit claimers who are, and I quote, scroungers. That is a fact. Amol Rajan acted, oh my God, what was I thinking? It's ridiculous. They live in a different world to the rest of the population of this country, don't they?
It's amazing. But his apology says, I'd never use language like that. You did, mate. You were the first one who said the word scroungers. Stop blaming everyone else. But what he's effectively done in his apology, because his original point is really interesting. Oh, look, 70% are in families that are in work.
Yeah.
Interesting fact.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you can't call scroungers scroungers. There's the one group of people you can call scroungers scroungers. He's apologising for calling scroungers scroungers. And the best thing is, who are they thinking they're offending? How many scroungers do you think are up early listening to BBC Radio 4's The Today programme? It's not a demographic that if they could be too upset about losing. So it's amazing how they manage to twist themselves into such contortions to apologise when no one thinks they need to apologise. I tell you what, if you're a scrounger and somehow you heard that clip, you'd be fine with it as well. You'd be like, yeah, fair cop, keep my head down, and I'm enjoying this benefits.
But it's the other thing that's funny about it, as you quite rightly say, Steve, I mean, the BBC would do well perhaps to produce a programme, maybe on Radio 4, half-hour show, hour show, documentary, call it Scroungers. Go and find the people who are scrounging, because we know they're out there. It's just absurd to suggest that they aren't out there. The BBC, of course, as I said, as far as they're concerned, everybody on welfare has got a halo up there, totally 100% above board. Absolute nonsense. But the hoops he goes through to apologise, I just got to apologise again. I'm really sorry. I mean, he broke some sort of massive BBC taboo, some sacred rule there, didn't he?
It's the classic bit of offending, people being offended on someone else's behalf. That's all he did. He used a word that someone who wouldn't be offended by it would write it. Dear BBC. That's the only group they're worried about. The people who are just sitting around thinking, I might have spotted something to complain about. What a great day.
And Amal Rajan, he's a good guy. I mean, he's one of the people at the BBC. I mean, OK, he's left-leaning, they all are. But his feet are on the ground. He's a reasonably sensible guy. So I know what happened there. At least I'm speculating, but I'm pretty certain you'll know this as well, Steve, being in the broadcasting game. What happened was he said that. He probably didn't even think anything about it. Some editor, some producer, my God, Amal, you've got to apologise. You suggested that some welfare claimers might be scroungers. For God's sake, put that right. They could have just let that ride. No one would have noticed.
Oh, I mean, it's not as if the BBC don't have real things to apologise for as well. They're not worried about those. But, they take ages to apologise for the Trump edit. And yet, within a matter of minutes, he's back on there saying, if any scroungers were offended, please don't write in. Good luck writing if you're that much of a scrounger. But still, please don't write it. They've got SBJs to answer the question. I used to work in BBC Local Radio, and they have broadcast journalists and then these senior broadcast journalists. They are paid to sit and listen to the output to see what, in case anyone says anything. Now, I've also worked in commercial, and you get like maybe one or two producers. I worked on a mid-morning show where we had 6 producers working on it, and that's because of the unique way that the BBC is funded. They can hire people to sit there and listen to their own radio stations.
Yeah, years ago, when I first came into this business, because, I'm an old newspaper hack, so I'm fairly new to this. So what would it have been, about 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago? Well, they got the ARIA awards, right, for radio awards, right? So we were pure radio in those days. So I went to the ARIA Awards. Not of course, that I was up for an award. You'd appreciate that. My career has been distinguished by being impressively award-resistant. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and I was working for Talk Radio. So I'm used to one producer, one assistant producer. And I think it was that guy, is it Greg Edwards? He was doing the Radio 1 breakfast show in those days. And he won, best breakfast show or something. So Greg Edwards, and he sort of he leaps onto the stage. And I think, he's going to collect it. I wonder if his producer's going to come on. And there's his producer. Oh, that person behind it, that must be the assistant producer. Who's the next? And I'm not kidding, 22 people came onto the stage. 22 people! There's the BBC producing one show, a radio show. What do they all do?
Well, there'll be a head of apology, I imagine, who sits around waiting for anything that might need an apology.
Yeah, but your point is very good, though, Steve. The point is what they've done here. He's actually said something that is completely harmless, that everybody will recognise. It is not a sin against human decency to suggest or to say that some people on benefits are scroungers. But because they've got their knickers in such a twist. As you said, the head of apologies has run up to Amel, and he's done that grovelling apology round and round and round through. I would never say so, never ever say such a thing. They've made a massive thing of something that nobody would have noticed.
Yeah. It's one of those things where no one would be offended by it because no one thinks they're a scrounger as well. Like, unless you self-identify as a scrounger, which surely no one really does. And if you do, you're not going to complain. As a scrounger, I would like to complain about the BBC, and also I'm not paying the licence fee. Do you know what I mean? So there was absolutely no reason to make such a mess. But the BBC loves doing that. Because they've got people sitting around wishing to prove to their people above that they are worth employing. So they go, look what I caught today. I caught an apology, and we did it. And some higher-up boss will be slapping them on the back for it.
You're right. As I say, he will not have noticed. The audience would not have noticed. Some geek twonk employed to do just what you just said, to check, would have rushed over. You've got to apologise, and they made a real mess of it. Welcome to Planet BBC, as I say. Steve, great stuff. Thank you very much for coming on. Good to talk. Steve Allen there, writer and comedian. Comedian is the right kind of person to get on. That's just funny, isn't it? It's just so stupid. God. Welfare, they're not scoundrels. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? Shut up. Get real. Next up, we're going to do an intriguing story. We're going to talk about the famous, iconic Easter Island statues on Easter Island. It's called Rapa Nui or something in the proper language there. It is one of the most remote outposts of land, of humanity, if you like, on the entire planet. And of course, it's got these iconic statues, and the stories around them are, it's very mysterious. What were they for? How did they get them there? How did they carve them? But I think the most interesting thing is in 50 straight years, everything was cool. In 50 years, that island unravelled. The civilization unravelled. The statues were suddenly toppled over, damaged, ruined. Something happened on that island in just 50 years. So I want to talk about how they got there, why they're there, and why they got so badly damaged, and what happened to the society on that island. I think it's a really intriguing story. We'll talk about that next. Stick around.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Some breaking news, sad breaking news. The devastated father of one of those National Guard soldiers gunned down in Washington yesterday. Her name was Sarah Beckstrom. Her father, Gary, has provided an update today and said that she will not recover. He says she has a mortal wound. It's not going to be a recovery. I'm holding her hand right now. So poor Sarah Beckstrom, one of the victims of that shooting yesterday, according to her father Gary, is going to die. That the wounds are so... we did hear yesterday that one of them was shot in the head. I assume that was probably Sarah. But yes, he says she was 24 years old. 24 years old. What a tragedy. Let us move on now, though. Let's talk, as I was saying before the break, I want to talk about the Easter Island statues. Let's talk to our favourite historian, ancient and modern historian, Ashley Hearn. Welcome back to the show, Ashley.
Very good to see you again, Kevin.
Always a pleasure, and I want to pick your brains about this. There's a story going around in the papers to say that the mystery of the Easter Island statues has been solved, and all it actually said was that it looks as if each statue was carved by different groups of people, so they had their own styles, probably hacked the stone out of different bits of the quarry rock and all that. There they are, of course, if you're looking on YouTube, which I didn't think was a sort of massive development. But I was reading through the story, and this is what really intrigued me. So these were all carved, they think, about 900 years ago. They still don't quite know what they were for. There are stories that originally they had corals for eyes. They don't, I believe, as some people say, stare out to sea. They stare inland, which is even more interesting. People still aren't quite sure what they were for, but they believe they were something to do with rituals. Now, they're massive. How did they move them? People have come up with a theory about that you can sort of rocking them from side to side, you can kind of rock them forwards. So all of that, how do you say it? They're called moais, is it? Moais. Okay, so they were essentially created 900 years ago. That island is packed with them. People go there specifically to see them. I've always wanted to go myself. Now, when Dutch seafarers arrived on Rapa Nui, as it is called by the locals, Easter Island, in 1722, the monuments were all still in good shape. They were being used by the locals as for rituals in a society that seemed to be in fine order. Peace and harmony reigned. That was 1722. In 1774, so something like 50 years later, half a century later, British explorer James Cook, Captain Cook, he arrived there, and the British crew described an island in crisis with many of the monuments overturned and damaged, the society unravelling. So my question to you is, do you have any idea what happened in those 50 years to upend 900 years of peace and harmony and to actually destroy and damage so many of these wonderful monuments? Do you have any idea what might have happened?
I mean, there's a range of theories. One of the problems, of course, as always, is the extent to which the sort of eyewitness accounts are really reflective of they're just sort of popping by. This isn't a sort of modern, careful anthropological study. I mean, one of the problems could be that the visitors saw all these enormous stone statues, and quite sort of sensibly, thinking back to the sort of awareness of large stone structures back in Europe, they assume, well, the civilization that put these original stone heads up, they were clearly quite advanced, and yet the people they came to sort of see were living in these relatively small groups, living a sort of fairly basic lifestyle. Their sort of view would be, well, how have they got from building all these massive stones of statues of people to the way they live now? So there was that sense to which the sort of when Cook and his expedition turn up, you have this sense of, well, there's clearly a decline. Something has sort of gone wrong. I mean, there certainly seems to have been a problem caused by contact with Europeans, as again, looking at the period of history when Europeans begin to explore the whole of the world is now coming into contact with with Europe and its civilization. So some people have suggested that disease, and certainly later in the late 19th century, one of the big problems is the Peruvians enslave about a third of the Rapa Nui Islanders in the 1860s. Most of them don't come back. That also sees an introduction of smallpox as well, which causes all sorts of problems. So there's various theories. One of the theories is that because they chopped all the trees down to help move the moai about, this led to this sort of a destruction of the island. It's the so-called ecocide theory. And then obviously once the last tree was cut down, they weren't able to go out in canoes anymore. They had to find new ways of survival. All the animals died. Some people suggested that rats came in and ate all the trees. So there's a range of possible theories about why there seems to have been so much sort of tumult on these islands. My sense is it's contact with the outside world and with Europeans, which sets off a change, a series of changes within the islands, some of which are pretty sort of negative, introduction of disease, but also once they came into contact with Europeans. Well, we know, for example, that one of the moai has a European ship drawn on it, which implies that actually contact with Europeans was something seen as a positive by the islanders, and they wanted them to come back. So it clearly led to a sort of quite rapid change in their social structure, and any rapid change in social structure can have quite negative consequences. So it's probably to do with contact with Europeans, like much, say, when the Spanish go to Mesoamerica. Obviously, there's lots of change there as well.
Now, Easter Island is impossibly remote. It is a speck of land. I think
it's crazy. It's like 3,700 kilometres from South America, 1,900 kilometres from the next inhabited island.
Yeah, 3,700 kilometres from to the west of South America. If you look at them, it's just, I mean, to say it's more than in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
it's incredibly remote.
It's nowhere.
Crazy, yeah.
So tell us about the Rapa Nui people then. They developed in this sort of isolated environment, I assume.
So they're part of this broader movement of what we call the Polynesian settlement, which takes place in the sort of first couple of millennia. These people originally come from Taiwan, and they spread through all the islands of the Pacific, undergoing these remarkable journeys where they navigate on their canoes all over the direction. I mean, some people have suggested that the Polynesians go even further east, past Rapa Nui, to South America itself. So it's quite remarkable. I mean, again, they're in such an isolated area. People used to think they arrived about 900 AD. The latest archaeology and genetic scholarship suggests a slightly later date. The suggestion is they start building these statues about 1200 AD. I mean, again, normally when you see these big monumental efforts, enormous construction of stone, the usual theory is there's some chief or some governmental structure which is ordering people to do this and organising them. But most archaeologists, and again, that's what the article that's based on these news stories are based on, is basically arguing, is that actually they were operating these small little groups, these little tribal groups of several dozen, 100, 120 people perhaps, and they were building these statues separately for their different sort of family group, and they were being put up almost in competition with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite remarkable.
Hence the vast number of them. There's hundreds of them.
I mean, and it's remarkable, really. I mean, again, this idea that sort of keeping up with the Joneses next door, they put a big moai up, we need to do the same. I mean, this idea of moving, there used to be a theory that they were used with trees, and that's where all the trees went. But again, the suggestion, and the archaeologists have been working, this has been around for quite a few decades. As you said, there's nothing particularly new here. This has all been suggested before, which is essentially you only need a small number of people moving it. You might have seen the video.
Yeah, if you see 20 of them. Sort of there's a forward angle, and they're carved so that they sort of rock them forward.
You can walk them forward.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, you only need a small group. I mean, basically, archaeologists, this whole report is to say that when they looked with this remarkable drone technology and flying over, taking all these photos. I mean, if you look at the map, these sort of 3D images. It's quite remarkable. You can zoom in to see all these sort of carved statues which have been half finished in the volcano sort of quarry based on this old volcano. But then they sort of walk them down in these small groups.
Yeah, as you say, you can see them half carved out of the rocks in this sort of vast quarry valley. So suddenly the Rapa Nui people, it seems, stopped making these statues.
Yeah. I mean, some people suggested, again, this partly depends on this idea that they suddenly stopped it. It was a collapse. And again, this ties into the idea, which was popularised by a popular writer called Jared Diamond, who wrote a book in the 2000s, arguing it wasn't a news story, but he popularised the idea that the Rapa Nui people it was like this ecocide. It became an environmental parable for human societies, exhausting all their resources by carrying out what was essentially a futile cultural activity and showing the selfishness, and this was extrapolated to a sort of story for how we should all treat the planet. But archaeologists have been much more sceptical about this story more recently, and the idea that they suddenly sort of stopped doing it. There seemed to be a moment of where they were all doing it. You have like 30 different areas, these different clan groups. That's the archaeologist's view. They're all sort of competing with each other to build their own style. But then the practice continues, but in a much smaller scale. It gradually declines. Then, of course, there's another practice which emerged, the famous Birdman ceremony, which evolves in one other part of the island slightly later, where all the groups all compete by having their young men to swim across to an island and getting the first tern's egg. If you go to the British Museum, they have a moai there.
I know they do, rather controversially, I do believe.
Yeah. But on the back, they've got a image of the Birdman Festival, which sort of seems to have replaced the moai as a ceremony.
So there's an island just off the coast of Easter Island.
Yeah, exactly. And they used to swim across. It's pretty vicious because, I mean, all the rocks are very sharp and you're swimming across this shark-infested channel. It was just a way to the first person to do it would then be the Birdman, and you'd be able to share resources and dominate the resources. So it's interesting to see how their society changed.
Yeah. There's almost 1,000 of these statues around the island. Some of them in a good state of repair. Others have been toppled. Others are damaged. At first, everybody thought they were exactly the same, but they're not. Each one is different. Some of them are feminine. Some of them are obviously of women.
All look different.
So I was just laughing. I was just thinking, so why did they suddenly stop doing it? Just in the quarry saying, why do we do sod this, you know?
Yeah.
But seriously, what were they for?
Well, we think they were basically again, it's the old archaeologist cop-out. If you don't know what it's for, say it's for religious reasons and say it's for ritual. But I mean, the Polynesian culture more broadly, it did sort of tend to use statues to represent chiefs. So some sort of powerful person within the clan. Another way is to represented ancestors. Like many societies, they sort of worshipped ancestors to sort of allow society to sort of keep going, to keep benevolent conditions going. So it was undoubtedly tied to some sort of ritual belief in either ancestors or a way of commemorating their rulers in the past. But again, the archaeologist's suggestion is going against this view that it's one big sort of state which has become too big with a big population, and arguing very strongly it's small little groups doing all of this.
Well, the takeaway is that this remains, in my view, just one of the great intriguing stories of history, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's, again, a small, in the middle of nowhere. First of all, how did they get there? I mean, it's a remarkable story, which we don't really properly appreciate. These remarkable Polynesian voyages with no compasses, basically just going off with a mixture of, I don't know, optimism and a sense of journeys that have been done before. But then again, how relatively small groups of humans can sort of end up creating quite sort of remarkable achievements in terms of their cultural construction and the cooperation to construct these remarkable sort of stone entities. I mean, we don't know how many people constructed Stonehenge, of course. We assume it's large numbers of people, but the Rapa Nui says, well, perhaps relatively small groups of people can achieve quite remarkable things when they work together. So there we go.
Extraordinary story. Love having you on the show, Ashley. Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Great to speak to you, Kevin.
Ashley Hearn there, Ancient and Modern History. I love that story, don't you? I mean, I love historical mysteries. So if you've got any ideas what the moai were actually for, let me know. But they do say that the eyes used to have corals in them. So you have coral eyes. And there's this idea they stand there mournfully staring out to sea, but they don't. They stare inland. There's nearly 1,000 of them. It's not that massive a piece of land. So extraordinary story. Let's go to break. When we come back, a couple of your calls. And then after the 9 o'clock news, it is the one and only Lady C. Lots to catch up on the Meghan scene. So stick around, everyone.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 9 o'clock news coming up. After that, we'll talk to the great Lady C about matters royal. But first, we've got a time for at least one call, maybe another. Let's talk to Ricky in Bristol. Hello, Ricky.
How you doing, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. What would you like to say?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You can give me a couple of minutes to make some points.
Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
What I want to I would like to know who's actually got the power to change the laws in this country. I don't know if anyone has, and if they haven't, that's crazy, but I would like to know. And also, I honestly think we as citizens should be protesting and pushing and forcing for tougher laws. And I'll give you a couple of examples, and people are going to say, this is extreme. You can't do that.
About what, Ricky? What rules would you like?
So illegal immigrants crossing, right?
Right.
And people have said this is extreme, but this is what needs to happen.
Okay, go on.
If you make an example of some of these people, right? So if you shoot the boat.
Well, okay. Let
me get this point across, please.
All right.
If people are scared to come to England because we are so strict, you are not going to get men.
Ricky, we can't really shoot at the boats, can we?
Oh, all right. That's fine if you don't for that. But look,
we can't. We can't. That no one wants these migrant crossings to stop more than I. But we have to do it in a civilized way, in the way that.
You would only have to do it.
Well, shooting at them would not be civilized, would it? It would not be. We're a sophisticated Western democracy. We don't shoot at people.
It would stop.
No, I know it would stop it, but it isn't a method. It isn't a method. It's not a method, Ricky, that is plausible, is it?
Right, and another point I'd like to make for rapists and paedophiles.
Right.
If they thought and if they knew by committing those offences, they would lose their penis. They would not.
But again, Ricky, these are.
You think it's extreme? But
it is extreme. And it's never going to happen. And I'm not exactly known for my liberal tendencies, but we can't go down that kind of route. That is not civilized. That is not sophisticated. That is not what a Western democracy does. We don't do things like that. We don't shoot at people and we don't cut their genitals off. Do you understand that?
It is a fact. Well, people are too scared to go to the Middle East and commit crimes. Why? Because they know exactly what would happen, so it doesn't happen. It is extreme, but we need to do extreme things, and you don't have to do it.
But we're not going to, are we?
But this is what I'm asking: who's got the power to do it? Because
I'm not sure. As I say, I'm not exactly known for my liberal tendencies, but I don't think I want anyone to have the power to do what you're suggesting.
But you're happy for them to come over and rape little girls. And
again, you're generalising to an enormous extent there. Of course I'm not happy about migrants and asylum seekers who come over here and commit sex crimes or any crimes for that matter. But there is a way we deal with them in a sophisticated, civilised Western democracy, and that is not the method. Look, Ricky, I understand where you're coming from. You're angry. I get it. So, thanks for the call and keep on keeping on. But that isn't going to work. Respect, mate, but thank you. Ricky in Bristol, I understand his frustration, but, we can't go down that route, can we? Listen, take the wind out of my sails, that call. Next up, after the news, it is the great Lady C about Meghan, Harry and all things royal. So stay tuned for that.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Time now for one of my favourite guests. So we're going to talk about matters royal with the one and only, the great Lady C. Welcome, Lady C.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very, very well. I hear you've had a bit of a fall. Are you okay? You've broken your pelvis, is that right?
I fell down in the Soho Hotel. There was a gap of 12 to 18 inches with no indication. I stepped into it.
Oh,
dear. My heel slammed my hip into the acetibula, which slammed it into my pelvis, and the whole thing, and both the acetibula and the pelvis got broken.
Oh my dear. So, you've been in hospital. Are you out of hospital now?
I'm out of hospital, but I can't walk for the next several months.
Oh my God, I'm really sorry to hear that, Lady C. I hope you recover as quickly as possible. But I know it won't cramp your style when we talk about Meghan. So let's get straight to it. I wanted to get your take. I've been talking about this story for a week or so now. I'm calling it Dressgate. You know what the story is. That in 2022, she went to a photo shoot for Variety magazine and a cover shoot, and there she was wearing this green dress by the Galvan designer label. She cropped up. Well, look, I'll tell you what we're going to do. So 3 years later, just only last week, she cropped up in the promo film for the Christmas special of her Netflix show with Love Meghan. So let's just have a look at that and then we'll talk about it. Oh no, it's not ready yet. We'll play it as soon as we can. But anyway, well you know what I'm talking about. So the same dress that she was on the front of Variety magazine, she crops up in this Christmas special. We will play you in a minute, the promo. And people say, well, where did you get that from? Well, it turns out that she basically walked out of the photo shoot, but it's worth nearly $1,700. She walked out of the photo shoot, she kept it. She says, or her people say, absolutely no way was this theft or anything like that. It was contractual. People knew what she was doing. And also, as a royal, she has to archive her clothes. I don't know what the hell that means, but that's what she said. So she says, no, everybody knew about it. But what we can take away from this is this woman who lives in a $29 million mansion with her multi-million-dollar royal husband walked out with a $1,695 dress, having not paid for it. We've got the video ready now of the Christmas special, so let's have a quick look at that and then I'll get your take on it.
I love the holiday season. It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go. And making new ones.
We are now in the Christmas spirit. It's pretty jolly here. Let's go craft. Heyo. It's so pretty.
It's so easy and elegant.
It's better the next day and everything turns red.
It's so festive. Being a hostess or a host, it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen. See?
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
Should we see if this works? There we go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh! There we go.
I simply can wait to watch that, and in fact I won't bother to watch it. But you saw there, Lady C, 3 scenes from the end. There she was, wearing the green dress in question. Undoubtedly, this is confirmed, it was the one that she wore for the Variety magazine cover shoot. She didn't pay for it, absolutely emphatically denies that in any way this was theft. Everybody knew she was doing it. But a lot of people saying, well, fair enough. A lot of celebrities take away clothes from photo shoots. But, you know, you live in a $29 million mansion. Did you really need to walk away with a $1,700 green dress? Couldn't you pay for it yourself?
Well, Kevin, first of all, she certainly did need to walk away with it without paying for it, because she doesn't make any money. She's not making any money off her was never ventures, and you know, she's selling things that sell out after 20 minutes because there's no stock and nobody can buy her was never stuff. And she's been cancelled by Netflix, she's been cancelled by Spotify. She does need to walk out with things. Now, I can tell you, as somebody who's been photographed for well over 50 years now, that sometimes you are invited to choose some of the dresses. But there are other times when it's made absolutely clear to you that under no circumstances will you be allowed to take any of them. And Meghan actually has very sticky fingers.
Go on.
Because she's walked out before with shoes. And maybe the shoes were on her hands, but because she's walked out of shoots with things that it's been commented upon from long before she got married. So Meghan is very attached to, shall we say, freebies and.
You're right, Lady C. You know about this. I know about this. I know something about the showbiz industry. It is not unknown for celebrities who take part in photo shoots to be invited to take some of the clothes that they wore, or if they like a particular item, they'll go, any chance I can take that? And usually the answer is yes. But what I'm interested in is what you said, that Meghan would be particularly keen to get a free dress because you don't think she's got much money.
She doesn't. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors. This outstanding success that she's supposed to have, she doesn't have. Let's remember, this is the Christmas season. She should be everywhere with her was never stuff. In fact, she's only in Soho House. I mean, give me a break. Soho House has had to create a special room for her to push her product. Before that, she had them in that bookcase, that bookshop that.
What's it called? Godmothers, isn't it? It's called, I think, something like that.
Yeah. And it's not for sale in any of the Netflix outlets or anywhere else. I mean, this is actually a sign of a dire commercial failure.
And when you call her online store Was Never, you know it's really called As Never, don't you? There's me doing it now. It's As Ever. Did you see she teased to all of her email customers? She said there's a big announcement coming soon, big special Thanksgiving announcement. They're going, ooh, what is it? Turned out then it's 20% off all As Ever products. So that $28 pot of honey, you can get it for $22 now. The $14 jam, just $11. I mean, still astronomically expensive. What kind of a sucker, gullible person would go, I know, I'll spend $22 or $28 on a pot of honey? I don't understand the business model of that enterprise. Do you?
I don't understand it as a business model. I understand it as a study in insanity and self-delusion. The woman is of the firm belief that she is so fabulous that there are untold legions of people out there who will be willing to part with their money to buy a little bit of the magic that she has. But she doesn't have any magic. She's a nightmare. Nobody's interested in buying anything. I think it's a study in delusionalism, and it shows how totally inept she is commercially. When everything she does ends up failing, and when you stop to think that the high point at which she started She was one of the most popular couples on earth. Everything she said and did was adulated and revered, and she didn't understand that it wasn't about her. As Prince Philip and the Queen used to emphasize, we're not special. It's not about us. It's about the role that we are playing. It's what we are doing.
Well,
Meghan didn't understand this. She thought she was special, and it turns out that she's not special. And that's why I do not call it as ever, because it's was never, and it's going to remain was never.
Was
Believe
never.
me, if that exists in 2 years from now, I'm a bar of soap and a monkey's uncle.
Well, that's what I keep saying. You know, in the words of George Michael, this will be as ever's last Christmas. I cannot see it lasting very much longer. Let's move on, because I thought this was breathtaking. This was classic Meghan. Harry and Meghan and the two kids, Lilibet and Archie, they go to the sort of equivalent of a Los Angeles soup kitchen. It's actually the Californian name is, it's a kitchen for people who suffer food insecurity. So it's for people who haven't got enough food, who are vulnerable, underprivileges. So they go, and we'll show some pictures now. They go to this, and so we've got Harry there, we've got Meghan, they're baking cookies for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. The kids are there. Of course, we only see the back of the kids' red heads. That's all we ever see of those children. So there they are. You know, it's oh, look at that. Aren't they selfless? Isn't she wonderful? As I said, in her world, charity must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. Anyway, she puts this all on Instagram. And the caption on Instagram, there they are, if you're watching, there they are in the, there's Harry and Meghan, the kids there as well, making cookies. The caption is, "Show up, do good," the motto of the Sussex's Archwell Foundation. So she puts this caption in to say, look at us, showing up and doing good. She's just sort of ramming it down our throats, isn't she, about how wonderful she is. Aren't I special? Aren't I great? Just like after the Los Angeles fires. Remember when she turned up there to look as if she was helping people? She thinks that we see her as some sort of angel on earth or something, doesn't she?
But I think that's what she wants us to see her as. But we don't. We see her as the total phony and the total contrivance that she is. And I mean, she's tasteless with it as well, because why do they have on Archwell clothing? They're promoting their own enterprise. Why don't they have on the center's clothing? It's, I forget what it's called, KBOP or whatever it's called. They have their own brand. That's what they should have on. But that wouldn't give them an opportunity, she thinks, to give the message how wonderful they are. And also, why are they using the children like this? You do not use your children like this. And she has the worst of all worlds, because she is exploiting those children and playing with their appearance and their identity at the same time. So at the very moment that she's using them, she's pretending that she's protecting their privacy. Well, you do not protect children's privacy by having them in public, doing things like that. The whole thing is farcical. The woman is one of the most rank hypocrites that I have ever had the displeasure of seeing in the whole of my life.
You're right, Lady C, because there's a pattern that usually happens, and we'll find out in the next couple of days. She posts on Instagram a video of her with the kids, just the back of their heads, the most famous back of heads in all the world. And then usually within 24 hours, maybe a little longer, usually within 24 hours after that, there'll be some kind of financial offer. There'll be a new product on as ever. Look, we've got this. So the kids video, one day later, some kind of financial offer to make her some money. You're right. They do seem to crop up just as she's launching some new money-making enterprise.
She is a crass opportunist and an exploiter. And I think she's gone beyond being an embarrassment to the royal family and the British nation. She is an embarrassment to humanity. Really. How she not only gets away with it, but is so tone deaf as to continue doing it, because everything she does results in failure. Nothing results in success.
You're right. And she does seem to struggle. Let me move on to something new. She also put a video out on Instagram. We'll play this, I hope. I mean, who needs this? It was it's Thanksgiving in America, of course, where they all roast a turkey. This was how to season a turkey. So she's just sort of pouring pepper on it and things like that. And so I sort of thought to myself, I wrote a piece saying, is there no start to her talents? And, you know, but it turns out that there isn't, because whilst it seemed an innocent enough thing to do, although pointless, it turns out that while she was doing this, putting the seasoning on the turkey, she had all of her jewellery on, her rings. Now that is a bacteria-packed hygiene no-no. You never leave your jewellery on when you're dealing with raw meat. So food fans all go, you shouldn't do that. So she can't even make a video of putting pepper on a turkey without screwing it up.
She screws everything up except screwing.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave that one hanging there. Shall we talk a little about Harry just before you go? Great to have you on the show, as always, Lady C. Now, while she's doing all this stuff, old Meghan, we learn that Harry, this weekend, in fact, because he's appearing, I think, on Monday, he's off to Canada, to Toronto, I do believe, to give a speech to a bunch of Canadian real estate agents. It's called the Aurea Powerhouse Conference in Toronto. This is how they bill him. This is how he's been billed. You'll like this. This is Prince Harry I'm talking about. Humanitarian, mental health advocate, environmentalist and military combat veteran. His work is dedicated to creating positive and lasting change for communities and the planet, particularly in advancing conversations around resilience and healing. That's Prince Harry.
Is that anybody you recognise?
No, it's not. Certainly not the Dim Duke, not the Dim Duke of Sussex. But my point about that is, they've made a point of saying, look, he won't be talking about real estate. He'll be talking about service and leadership. I'm not sure what he knows about either of those topics. But this is just singing for his supper, isn't it? You know, a bunch of real estate agents, people who flog houses, have asked him to their conference in Toronto, and he's there. And you can rest assured they must be paying him a lot of money to do that. This is kind of humiliating for him, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. But you know, Kevin, I don't think it's a lot of money. I think this shows how far he has fallen since the Freedom Flight. Because remember, when they first went to California, he then went to JP Morgan, and he was given $1 million to appear barefooted and speak about the trauma of losing his mother when he was 12 years old. If you can bank on it, those people don't have that class of money. He most likely is getting 5 figures.
Yeah, could
maximum be 6.
Do you think they're that desperate, Lady C? Do you think the money is that tight?
I do. I think he did very well out of spare. Penguin Random House did disastrously, but he did well out of it, because you will know, being in the publishing world, books are done off our recommended retail price. So even though Penguin Random House will have discounted the book, he's still got the full whack for each book sold. So I think he did well out of that. But then they have their living expenses. They also have taxes to pay. Uncle Sam isn't going to let them off.
Yeah. No, I know about that. I used to live in America. Yes, Uncle Sam doesn't let you off the taxes. Now, to go to the topic of his speech, leadership and service, what does he know about service? He turned his back on his duties to the royal family when he ran away to California with his Hollywood wife, didn't he? What has that got to do with service? Do you think he's an expert on service? I think quite the reverse, don't you?
No, I think he's an expert on servicing Meghan, and I think he services her in any way, shape, and form that he feels is going to profit him and her. But that's not the same thing as public service. And both he and Meghan understand that charity starts at home, and they're very homely people. And believe me, everything goes back to them. If you look at their Archewell accounts over the last few years, they have between, I think it's 9 and 11 or 11 and $13 million that they float around from entity to entity. And it's a very interesting, if you know how some commercial things work. So that's not a great deal of money to be having as a float for the size life that they have. And I don't think he knows anything about service. He never did, incidentally. Harry was very good at getting up, performing as the cheeky chappy, and doing, and he could be very cooperative and very personable and very friendly until Meghan came along and put him in touch with his misery. Since when he and she have shown that the only service they understand is self-service or service.
Yes, self-service, you're right. That's what his form of service is. What do you think the future for them is in the long term? Do you think that marriage is going to last? I mean, it seems to me, Lady C, that it's very one-sided. This is Meghan married to her spare. She gave this interview to Harper's Bazaar magazine last week, which was extraordinary. She went on about no one loves me as much as Harry. No one in the world loves me more than him. His love for me is bold. He loves me so much, and so I know he's always going to have my back. He so loves me. Not a single sentence about whether or not she loves him.
Well, that, of course, is typical narcissist talk. But it also is somebody who knows that the gild is off the lily and she needs to try to restore it, because half of their business model is we are Romeo and Juliet. and of course, we know that they are not Romeo and Juliet. So I think it's yet another sleight of hand, and Meghan is very adept at sleight of hands. And Harry has become rather more adept at sleight of hands than he used to be. I think he's actually been a very good pupil. I have to tell you, when people say they are sure they will separate and divorce, I've always said I'm not sure they ever will. I've seen other marriages like theirs, which lasted a lifetime. Toxic, nasty, using, opportunistic, vicious, really sick relationships that lasted a lifetime because the vulture in the relationship never found someone else to be richer pickings.
So for Meghan, Harry's ideal because he worships at her altar, does everything she says. So she's in charge, and she likes that dynamic.
I think, but also I think she gives him stuff that he needs and that he wants. I mean, she has maintained the fiction and the act that she is an evocation of his mother, and she mimics his mother in ways. It's a way of pressing his buttons and keeping him tame and keeping her toe hold over him. So I think this is a relationship that on several different levels is, shall we say, opportunistic and Machiavellian, and in my opinion, really rather sick. Because the Oedipal aspects of it are very disconcerting.
Well, it's a very valid thing to say, Lady C, because we did the story, I think, last week, or was it earlier this week, where this photo shoot she did for Harper's Bazaar magazine, she has all these poses, and it's uncanny. It's recreating the poses that Diana did during her days while she was still with us. Really absolutely uncanny, definitely recreating the poses of Diana. So there is something odd about this, that somehow or other she seems to try to be Harry's mum. Very, very odd. But listen, on that rather strange bombshell, I want to wish you very well. I hope you recover soon and it's not too arduous for you. And it's fantastic to have you on the show, as always, Lady C, and come on again soon, yeah?
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care, Lady C. The unbelievable Lady C there. All, laid up. Broken her hip. She was in hospital earlier. To get her on the show, we were dealing with her in her hospital bed. I thought she might come onto the show. I was rather looking forward to it. It would be very dramatic. But thankfully, she's out of hospital, and we wish her a very speedy recovery. We're going to go to break now, take some of your messages, your WhatsApp voice notes, and phone calls, most importantly, when we come back. 0344 499 1000. Back in a mo.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Ernie's got a theory about the Easter Island statues. He says the Eastern Island statues, Rapa Nui, we should call it, that's the proper name for it, were probably something simple, like to scare the kids from going near the cliff edge. The parents had plenty of time on their hands, not having to work and pay taxes. Well, how do you know that? We don't know about their society. And that's a hell of a lot of work to do just to stop your kids going off the edge of the cliffs. Not even sure if there are any cliffs on Easter Island. So I don't think that's probably why they made nearly 1,000 of these extraordinary, massive structures. Right, but good theory. Yeah, get lots of theories about the statues, none of them very serious. Let's talk to Georgina in London. Hi, Georgina.
Good evening, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very, very well. You want to talk about Donald Trump, yeah?
I do. I listened to what you were saying about those poor people who got shot by the migrant gunman. And I agree 100% with Donald Trump. If these people are coming over and they have no regard for your culture, the way you live, the people living within your country, if they are a threat to national security and also the population safety, then you must get them out of your country. And we need to do exactly the same here, Kevin. I mean, the government we have at the moment, I wouldn't leave them in charge of a house plant. Never mind put the safety of my family in their hands, because they're totally incompetent. We've got people walking around this country who have molested and raped, and I mean walking around because they've got suspended sentences, and we just can't put up with it anymore.
Here's the deal, Georgina. This is my point. Look, just like Britain, America tried to do right by the Afghanis who helped the American forces and the British forces during that long drawn-out war.
Well, we've done exactly the same thing,
but
Kevin.
here's the deal, Georgina. So we basically have let in 70,000 Afghanis. Not very many questions asked. Now, I'm sure most of them decent people who did genuinely help us, but we don't really know how many of them actually helped British troops, because we didn't really check very much, and we didn't really check very much who these people are, what they're like, so we don't know much about them. So in essence, we've got 70,000 people from a very different country, Afghanistan, living in our midst, that we don't know much about. Now, America, due to Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome Scheme, has got the same situation. They've got thousands and thousands of Afghanis who said that they helped the Americans during the war. So they're all living there. So what America discovered shockingly yesterday, it just may be some of these people there, although they're allowed to live in America, do not have good feelings towards America. They're dangerous. Now, my point is 70,000 Afghanis in Britain, they weren't vetted properly, and that's the worry.
Right, firstly, can I just say 70,000 that we know of, there's probably a lot more. With this government, you believe nothing that you hear and half of what you see. There's people in this country walking around that have ill feelings towards the British people, towards their culture, towards their
you're right. You're right.
Even going, Christmas offends them. Everything we do with these people, they find it offensive. Now, if we went over to their country, Kevin, what we thought wouldn't even come into the equation because we'd have to do as we were told. And all these box tickers and virtue signalers need to get a grip, get a life, and get their nose out of serious business because they're putting the British people and our national security in grave danger.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I want it's a question to our political leaders. We're talking about, for the past 14, 15 years, Tory governments and now the Labour government, you've let in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, in fact, including legal migration, millions of people. More and more of them seem to be charged with or convicted of serious crimes, sexual and violent. And you want to say to all these politicians who opened the gates and said, come on in, you want to say, what were you thinking? What have you been playing?
Well, they're not thinking, Kevin. They're not thinking at all. That's the whole thing. You have to have a brain to think, and I'm convinced that the Labour government in office at the moment haven't got a brain cell between them the way they're behaving.
You're right about
honestly,
that.
Kevin. I mean, just a point.
They've made a
My
bad
little girl-
situation worse. Can't blame them for everything. We certainly can't blame them for the bulk of the migrant crisis. But incredibly, they came in last July, and it's no mean feat, but they have managed to make our migrant crisis even worse than it was.
Absolutely. I mean, it couldn't get... Well, I'm saying that...
Don't say that, Georgina, because it could. It could and will get worse, I'll tell you.
But I was going to say to you, my little girl, my daughter, I mean, she's a little girl, she's going on 40 years old now, but she said she wanted to come over and go shopping in London, because we usually go shopping in London and go and have lunch and what have you for Christmas. Yeah. And you know, Kevin, I actually declined the offer to go into London because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of going around my own city that I've lived in all my life, and I'm afraid to go there now. How sad is that, Kevin?
It is really sad, and even sadder is I think you've made a wise decision. You know, frankly, the way London is now is if you really, unless you really have to come into London, unless you have no choice, then it's probably best to avoid it. You know, why put yourself at risk? It's a dangerous place. So, so it's sad that I have to agree that you were right to decide not to come in to the centre of town.
Well, yeah, you know what? I agree with what you're saying, and it's what I said, and my husband said, under no circumstances, take off all the jewellery, darling, because you're the walking target. That's what he said, and I thought, you know what? If I've got to think like that, then I'm not going. So I'm staying put.
Well, I'm glad you made that decision, Georgina, because we need you. We can't lose you.
Oh, bless you.
And your fabulous phone calls. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Georgina from London, the inimitable Georgina. I mean, she phones, I heard her earlier on Julia. But it's great to talk to her. I mean, she's a very smart lady and she makes very good points. Better go to break now. When we come back, more of your calls, more of your messages. So stick around.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A couple of messages. Ian says we all need to support the farmers 100%. And Lucy says, listening to the arrest of the farmers yesterday made me feel sick. An utterly revolting and shameful display of bullying by the establishment. Starmer, Reeves and the arresting officers should have a little think about how much they'd enjoy living on wartime rations, which is what things will come to at this rate. It was not it was wrong. It just didn't look right to me. These are hard-working, decent, honest, law-abiding men and women. They shouldn't be handcuffed, and it's actually against police rules. There was no criterion that fitted and that justified the use of handcuffs yesterday. So lots of messages about that. Let's quickly play a WhatsApp voice note, shall we? This is anonymous, but it's a good one, on the BBC.
Evening, Kev. Right, so the BBC are got so much empathy for scroungers, or what you're not allowed to call them that. But the last time I looked, the only time you get a free TV licence is if you're blind or over 75 or something. So whether you're a scrounger or not, and you're not paying for your TV licence, they will still send the heavies round. So peace and love, and kumbaya.
Thank you very much. Now, I can't remember the name. I know he's a regular WhatsApper. Let us know what your name is tomorrow, yeah? Quick message here about from Zarina. Like you, Kevin, I've always wanted to go to Easter Island. I like the idea of the ancestors. We love our photos of our family, present and past too. I believe the people on Easter Island. Great segment, thank you. Yeah, fascinating. I like stuff like that. Shall we quickly play? Actually, here's another WhatsApp voice note. This is George on Easter Island. I mean, not on Easter Island, talking about Easter Island.
George in Northampton here. You're saying about the Easter Island statues and the civilization disappeared after about 50 years. Well, it's obvious what happened. You don't need scientists. They just elected a Labour government and that killed it stone dead.
That's all. That must have been it. They got the ancient Keir Starmer and ancient Rachel Reeves came along and completely ruined Rapa Nui, as it's officially called, in 50 straight years. They're going to ruin our country in much less than that. 4 more years, we're going to be finished by the time they've finished. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Tony in Doncaster. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Kevin. Before I make my point, just quickly, it's quite ironic you talk about Easter Island.
Yeah.
After all the years where it's actually situated in the Pacific, I didn't even know till today it's actually owned by Chile, and was quite interesting. I just thought it was an isolated island, but it's owned by.
Oh, yeah, sure. But it still is. It's 3,500 miles west of South America. I didn't. Is that its ruling country, Chile? I didn't actually know that.
Do you know the only reason I knew that? Yeah. And I'll make this quick before getting to a serious point.
Yeah.
So I come home tonight. I'm on the rowing machine. I'm looking at cameras around the world, trying to cheer myself up for an holiday in January.
Right.
Get away from Rachel Reeves.
Yeah.
And it comes up Rapa Nui. And it says Chile, so
yeah, okay. I didn't know that.
I didn't.
Yeah,
anyway.
My producer just said you're absolutely right. But it is. I mean, it is one of the most remote little specks of land on all of the earth. It's right in the middle of the Pacific.
Apart from Gough Island and Ascension Islands. But anyway, listen, I'm digressing.
Yeah. You want to talk about the budget? What would you like to say, mate?
Right, I'll keep it quick. Right. So here's the point. I'm driving home from work yesterday, and Rachel Reeves is on the radio, and all the left-wing backbenchers are going, yeah, and she's saying we're all in this together with the tactics and one thing and another. Mm-hmm. And here's the point I'm trying to make. From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're frozen the tax threshold for the next 3 years.
Yeah, correct.
So when you're out there tonight, who's in a taxi or driving a lorry and one thing and another, you've basically been shafted for the next 3 years.
Yeah. It means that although your income might go up with inflation and all that, the tax thresholds say the same. Therefore, you end up paying a lot more tax.
Correct.
Yeah.
So effectively, the next 3 years, you're going to be worse off.
Yeah, absolutely.
The question I'm asking to you, and I might be wrong, but my understanding is Rachel Reeves never said anything about freezing benefits. So here's the question I'm asking.
She never would either.
No. This is a really relevant question. If we're all in this together, and I'm not having a go about anybody, why, if you're a government, why would you declare war on working people and say we're going to actually effectively put your money in regression, but if you're not working, we're going to put your money up with inflation? It sends the wrong signal to anybody of any ethnicity who's working. What is the incentive to work anymore?
Well, that's it. I mean, yesterday, Andrew Neil was saying earlier on talking to Julia Hartley-Brewer, she said this is a landmark budget. Or this was a landmark budget yesterday. It changed this country, hopefully not forever, but certainly for the foreseeable future, into a country where people like you and me, those of us who working individuals in the private sector, private businesses, big and small, what we are now going to be required to do is to work. Then they tax us to the hilt, and those taxes fuel one of the biggest welfare state systems in the world. A welfare state system that will be spaffing about £420 billion by 2030. It is obscene. It will kill all growth. It will, as a lot of young people are saying, what is the point of working? You're just going to tax me. You know, my tax now is pretty much nearly 50%. And a lot of people, you know, I'm not like an astronomical earner. You know, I'm a reasonable earner, but 50%, you know, you know, where's the incentive there? You know, that budget, it's socialism gone mad. It's everything that's wrong with socialism, that the private sector is only there to pump money into the public sector. And that means your economy will wither and die. It's terrible. And young people in particular, saying, what is the point of working? It's a joy-killing, economy-killing budget. Just absolutely dreadful. Tony, I've got to move on, but with you all the way. Thank you. Good call. Tony in Doncaster. Should we play a quick budget WhatsApp voice note? This is Martin, then we'll go to break. Martin, take it away.
Good evening, Kevin. Martin from Lichfield here. A little bit off topic with what's going on, but I thought I'd share this with you in Rachel Thieves' magnificent battering of the UK economy yesterday. I took my car for a service today, and I was in there just waiting for to collect it. A guy came in, he'd ordered a very expensive all-electric, all-singing, all-dancing car and cancelled his order. And he stated very loudly that he was not going to be ripped off anymore by this country. He was trying to do the right thing and cancelled it. After he went, the salesman was gutted. It's somebody that sold my car to me. Mine's a petrol, by the way. I will never, ever have an electric car. But well done, old Rachel Thieves. Great forward planning. More destruction, more politics of envy, and more pleasing the backbenchers that have probably never worked a day in their life. Excellent job. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good one, Martin. Very good. I mean, exactly right, because you know, we're supposed to get electric cars apparently to save the environment. This government, with old crazy Ed Miliband, the Nut Zero secretary, obsessed with the environment, obsessed with greenery. Get electric cars, save the planet. Yesterday, if you got an electric car, she's going to charge you 3p for every mile. So if you go on a 300-mile journey, 90 quid. That's why that guy cancelled his order for an electric car. So she's killed the electric car market stone dead. Good stuff. Well done, Rachel. Let's go to break. Much more next.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Quick WhatsApp voice note, the final one. Richard on the farmers.
It's Richard from Sheffield. I was just wondering, just looking on the farmers, one of the farmers getting arrested now. Why are they giving him the, he didn't put any problems up. Why are they giving him the cat handcuff behind the back? He should have been caught. If they had to put bracelets on him, he should have been handcuffed on his front, not behind his back. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I'm ashamed of being from this country now.
See, I mean, Richard is right. He's right. Those people shouldn't have been handcuffed. They're decent, law-abiding, hard-working citizens. Don't put them in handcuffs. Don't have to. It's against police rules. Quick last message about Easter Island. So many messages about Easter Island. This is from Don in Chelmsford. He said, it's obvious that aliens visited Easter Island and used their advanced technology to create the huge figures. There you go, the mystery solved. And let's quickly talk to Philip in Dover. Hello, Philip.
Yeah, good evening, Kevin. Great show.
Thank you.
I'm talking about the farmers, and of course the reason for all this trouble, it seems, is because the Labour government want to get a lot of money off them, and so they've imposed this.
Well, yeah, except for in the great scheme of things, Philip, it's a small amount of money. A lot of people thinking this is a sort of class thing. Labour don't like the rural community because the rural community don't tend to vote for them.
No, well, they don't live in North London either.
Exactly, right, that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. So my point is this, that this tax is a blanket tax, which that charming man who was on yesterday, condolences to him and his poor dad, Philip.
Jonathan Charlesworth, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. But this is a blanket tax. So this tax affects you if you're living, let's say, up in the North Yorkshire moors and your whole farm is in an AONB, so, you're basically a guardian of nature unpaid as well, to add to everything.
Yeah.
It applies to farmers in the southeast. Now, this tax, they could have done something much, much cleverer. And that is that down in the southeast, as you know, Kevin, probably from when you go and visit Mike or whatever, these farmers down here can sell 1 acre of land for £1 or £2 million.
Yeah.
For development.
So you mean tax them and not the people in the north?
What I think they should have done is...
Quickly, Philip, I've got to move on. Go on, quickly.
Have you? Well, I think they should have just slammed the farmers who've got a few acres for a lot of money.
Well, yeah, possibly. I think maybe they should leave them all alone. How about that? That's a better idea. Philip, thanks for a good call. Thank you. Sorry I had to brush you there. Well, the Gould brothers are in. I've got Johnny and Ash. Oh, my cup runneth under.
Double trouble, baby.
Yeah. It's your chance. The Gould brothers, Johnny and Ash, your chance to be bored in stereo for 3 hours.
That's right. And in a packed show this hour, we got Phil Dave in the first hour. We're going to be talking about the illegal migrants that have gone missing. 25,000 more people to claim welfare, 2-child cap lifted.
Yeah.